we go.
There we go.
How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's been a long time since we spoke.
Yeah, I just had another interview and we both noticed that we completely lose all feeling for which month it is or even which year it is. So if you tell me that I went into a time hole and we are already in 2023, I would just believe it.
Yeah, I've got the same feeling, yeah. Last time we spoke was 2016 in Oberhausen.
Okay, on the 2016 on the Voices of Fire tour then?
That's right. That was the last leg of the Voices of Fire tour.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. It was next to a refrigerator.
Yeah, most of the interviews backstage are in uncomfortable places.
Yeah, it was a good talk. Yeah.
Cool.
So how have you been dealing with the pandemic lately?
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, you can relate to that at your place, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, of course, it's a tough time for all of us, but at least in the music context or in the band context, we were able to use it for something good and to spend a little bit more time on recording and songwriting for a new album. So this was the positive side of it, that we had a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, I'm really happy when that time is just over and it gets at least a little bit back to normal.
Yeah, one of the questions I always ask is about the planned tours, and right now it's all empty.
Yeah, exactly. And it was also for us, it was the question, do we wait with the album release until we can announce a tour alongside with it? But then we felt that it's strange if you have to wait for another year and then you release an album where in the promo you don't know where what the recordings were like, because it's already 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So we decided this year is just a year of album release, and hopefully next year will be a little bit more regular with live appearances and festivals and everything.
Yeah, it does have one big advantage. Last time we spoke, you said that you prefer it when the fans have time to learn songs. So I bet the next live event will be one big party.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this was especially the case with a concept album back then, because then you have to get an idea about the complete concept and lyrics and stories. But yeah, we also had, I don't know which album it was, I think the Break the Silence album, where we released the album on a Friday, and on that Friday evening we had the first show, and this was of course not so nice for the fans that were not able to sing along with the new songs.
That's always hard.
Yeah.
I recall one Metallica show where I went, where I was one of the only people in the audience that heard the new single. It's hard.
So you were able to know that song because you got to listen it earlier.
Yeah, I was the only one singing along. Yeah.
Okay, I know the band. That's cool.
Talking of Metallica, on the new album, you have an Iron Maiden song which you cover better than Metallica, "Run to the Hills."
Oh yeah, thanks for that. I mean, we covered Iron Maiden twice now, and also Metallica twice. So, and Manowar. So these are the leading bands on the internal Canto cover competition, I guess.
Yeah. There are some really fast-paced lyrics on that, riffs, I must say. It's riffs, lyrics. It's a bit the same for you, but
yeah, but with Run to the Hills, it's really close to the point where we have to say, okay, it can't get much faster, so don't ask us for any Dragon Force covers. I guess this would not be a good idea with Canto.
Are you already dreading that song for the live set, or?
Yeah, we haven't discussed that yet, but the covers always make a good choice for being played live, of course. I would love to play it live, yeah.
I think you must get some Lamaze classes first.
Yeah, most probably.
Back in 2017, Sly left the band. That was probably not long after we talked. And right now he's back. So how does it feel to have him back in the mix as a special guest?
Yeah, for me personally, it doesn't feel so different, because we're not only former bandmates, but we are also friends. So of course we are in close contact anyway. So he never felt that far away from me personally. And then we had a gig on Summer Breeze Festival in 2019, where we had the spontaneous idea to invite him to join us on stage. This felt very, very great, and so we asked him for a guest appearance on the album. And then the pandemic came, and he also had a little bit more time. And I mean, the reasons why he's not able to be a professional musician anymore, they haven't changed. But this doesn't mean that you, in a pandemic time where there's no live playing and it's just about finding some time in the studio, it was just a nice thing that he could join us as a guest on all songs. And I also liked songwriting for three singers because it gives you even more opportunities to pick the right singer for the right part, and that was fun.
Yeah, you have a way bigger toolkit with three singers.
Exactly.
I really love how that played out in the Mona Mark song.
Yeah. So I mean, Hagen alone already has very many voices in his register, so to say, from very low to very high. And I think the strongest songs, personally for me, on the album are those where you really can show the sweet spots of the singers, like the Amon Amarth cover, or if they really blend together, like in that first single of Falling Down that we released. But of course, as the songwriter, I like all the songs. It would be strange if I didn't.
Yeah, I saw that the Falling Down one you dedicated to Robert Naumann.
Yeah.
Did he pass away?
Yes. He was the very close friends in school days, and also the one in the Canto history who did the cuts of all videos until then. So of course we felt that a video is actually the right point where we can dedicate some of our work to him.
Yeah, that's a nice dedication. I tried to look it up on online because I saw the dedication, and all I saw was Van Canto video, Van Canto video, Van Canto video.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always sad, losing someone.
Yeah.
15 years of band history, that's a lot, man.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think more of the albums than of the years. And for me, it really feels like we had 8 different Van Cantos, so to say, because with every album there was a new era that was also meaning festivals or tours, and then with every album you start something new. So I rather think in albums than in years, and that's why also we have not put anything special on the album, making it a 15-year album or something like that. It's more the 8th album, and it's just to the power of 8.
Yeah, I really like how over the years there's a whole, how do you call it, a lot of different styles in your music. We already discussed that last time, that there was the fantasy element with the book.
Yeah.
And you said it's not about metal or fantasy. How do you feel about the sound of the band? Is it still metal? Is it something else?
Yeah, I think it is still metal, because if I think of the inspirations that we use for songwriting, they still mainly come from the same sources, mainly from all the bands that we somehow knew and loved in our teenager days. I think that's just the way it is, because this is the time where you really, where you see things or hear things for the first time. It has a bigger impression than with early 40s you just listen to another metal album. So I think it's still metal, at least from the inspirational side. And for those who define metal coming with an instrumentation, we have never been metal, of course, because we have no guitars. And for those who rather define it from a sound or from a songwriting style, or also from an attitude to do something that people do not expect from you, and to have a rebellion part in your soul that you express through music, I think we are very much more metal than many metal bands around.
I think anyone who says you're not metal enough hasn't seen you play live.
Yeah, that's good that you are saying that. If I told that, it would perhaps not have this power, but coming from you, I just agree.
If you play somewhere, I will be there. It's always fun.
Cool, thank you.
One of the things that surprised me was your previous album, the intro. It sounded so completely different to me.
You mean the opening song of the last album, or
that's the one, the Trust in Rust album?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Trust in Rust has many new components to it, not only because of the lineup change, but we also decided to distribute the songwriting between the different musicians, and the opener was just also written by just a complete different musician with Bastian. So that's already a difference. And for me, it feels a little bit like a second debut because we really had to get to know each other new again in that new lineup. We had to tour together to know what works best for which part works best. And you can do all these things when you are a new band. You can just try out things until you release your first album. But if you're already an established band, you have to do it with a regular album. So I still love 3 or 4 songs on the album I really love and listen to them very often. And I think from the other songs, I also think that they are okay because they had an impact on how we wrote the 8th album now. But I can also understand fans that are irritated by Trust in Rust on some songwriting parts because it's just so unusual for Van Canto. I can totally get that.
It was totally different, but I dug it. It's fresh, and I can see how that's in some way, how do you call it? It gave you the power to write this new album.
Exactly. That's always the case. You can never tell with one song that you're writing, you actually are preparing the next song that you even don't know of yet. So it's always a journey. And for Van Canto, I think we talked about that also in back then, if I remember correctly, is that it for us feels not so natural to just repeat ourselves. So we need some new topic for a new album. And of course, the Voices of Fire was easy because it was a concept album with choirs and a story behind it. For Trust in Rust, it was that let's recreate the debut feeling for that. And for this current album, it's the mixture or the setup with 3 lead singers. So we need something new in the surrounding to be really creative.
What would you say are the biggest additions that the new lineup gave Van Canto?
Yeah, from addition is a good thing because all of these elements have been there before. I think it's really the combination to be able to pick a part and dedicate it to a singer that just sings it best because it's his sweet spot, and nobody has to replace something that's missing in the sound or something. Everybody can sing in the most strong environment. I think that's the biggest thing for me as a songwriter on this album.
Yeah. I really love the addition of the growls. That adds a lot for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's again, I mean, you are obviously very open-minded and you also see change as something good. I think we got very great responses on Raise Your Horns, but also some people that said, oh no, I had never expected this singing style in Van Canto and please make more melodic songs. And I think it's okay if you have 12 songs on an album and there's one song that you personally would skip because it just doesn't meet your personal taste. It's fine. You have 11 songs to go and all good.
Exactly. There's been a long gap on your website between the last post and the first post about the new album. How did it feel to be that long without any interaction with music?
Yeah, I think we're a little bit old-fashioned in that direction because we think we have something to tell when we have something to tell, like a new album or a tour coming. And if there's nothing happening, then we are not the ones that engage like on a weekly basis and post private pictures from our cat jumping on the sofa. But perhaps if we formed Van Canto this year and not 15 years ago, we would never make it that far because you have to be that interactive with your fans on a daily basis. And I even had an interview with different musicians, like a digital meeting or something like that, where somebody said these days they are just building a social media presence, and if they are present enough, then they decide which music they give their people. And I thought it's the wrong direction. So it would be better to decide for the music you want to make, then make it, and then try to find people who want to listen to it. And he was very irritated, like how I could say that. And I think I was marked as the arrogant one, not seeing how life is working these days. And obviously it's true. I don't know how these things work these days. And that's the reason for the gap. We are not the best in we are no influencers. We are musicians, so we make music, we record an album, we release it, and then we're happy to do these interviews. And after that, the next band comes around and does an album. That's the way it is. Yeah.
You're in it for the love of music, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have some amazing cover art this time around, by the way. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, also something that we change with quite every album. But the artist from this one, Stefan Heilemann, is the same who did the Dawn of the Brave album back in 2014. So at least a cover artist that we worked together for the second time. Yep, thanks.
Is there some hidden symbolism in there? The girl pulling a ship, or is it just a pretty picture?
Yeah, I mean, it's to the power of 8, so we wanted to have something powerful. We wanted to extend the rust feeling from Trust in Rust, and that's why we put it in an industry harbor scene. So it's still rusty, but also having this water to it. Then we have a ship. We have the power. We have the 8 in the 8 knot in the rope. But for us, all these, for example, artworks or also song titles, they are not that meaningful. We are not a political band that has to present a specific message. For us, the message is really in the songs. So we just need a pretty cover to look at, that if you really have that vinyl edition in front of you and you have 50 minutes time that you just dedicate to listening to music, then you should have a nice artwork that you can look at for the complete 50 minutes. That's the idea.
So it's not you're pulling a new Germany.
No. I'm sorry that there's no deeper meaning behind that. No. But of course, if you see something in it, feel free to see that. But it's not what we intended.
I did miss the 8 knots, so that's a nice touch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No.
Let me have a look here if I have some more questions. This is the first episode in our podcast, and we've had a bit of a hiatus as well with Metal on Loud due to pandemic and some other reasons. And you're the first guest, so it's very nice to have you.
Thanks for having me. That's an honor. Yeah. And will it be on a weekly basis, or what's the idea?
It's not certain yet.
Okay.
I just saw you guys in my inbox. I was like, that's the first.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thanks. Great.
Yeah. We had a real nice talk last time, so I thought let's kick it off with something good.
Yeah. I enjoy it, especially if the interviewer relates to the music itself. I mean, there's also a lot of professionalism in the interview space, so you can of course also interview a band that you even don't know what they're doing, then you read the band info. But personally, of course, I really enjoy these kind of interviews where there's a relation to the band and to the people behind it.
I will always like if it's a bit organic as well, so I said this will be unscripted.
Yeah, that's
I have some notes, but we're not scripting it, and we're not cutting it either.
Yeah, that's good. We hadn't so much take out moments anyway, so we have to work on that.
Take one. How did you prepare for this album? I imagine that it would be harder to come together in this time. Did you have online sessions like this?
Yeah, so getting together was really the hard part. I mean, we were lucky in the times of recording the drums because pandemic took a small break in August last year, end of August. So we were actually able to enter another studio for drum recordings because drums is the only thing that I cannot record in my own studio. And then for the voices, it was comparable to the other productions because we record one singer at a time. But the difference was that there was no band time, like getting together and motivating each other when singing. So the first time that we actually met after our last show in 2019 was in February 2021 when we recorded the videos. So this was the first time in Canto's history where we did not get together. We tried some Zoom meetings, but it did not feel so great. I mean, it's if you have to do Zoom meetings on your day job, perhaps due to the pandemic, then at least with the people that you know really close, you want to have real meetings. So we skipped that digital meeting part and are happy to come together when it's finally allowed on a festival backstage.
I usually call my Zoom meetings the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I have.
Nice. Yeah,
But I can imagine
but
that it's hard if you need to if you need to record something like an album that's all based on interacting with each other, to do that online.
yeah, I mean, we were allowed to invite a single person into our studio. So the recordings we also did some remote recordings, but most of the recordings were still in real life, but only one singer at a time, of course. I think with Canto, it was not so hard. There are bands where all members live in the same village and they rehearse like every Wednesday. Of course, they really have a hard time, but we are spread all over Germany or even Europe with Ross living in Vienna anyway. So we were used to organizing our get-togethers. So this was not the hardest part.
What's next for the bands? Do you have any plans already for festival seasons or performances?
Yeah, doesn't make so much sense if we have plans, because these plans would still have to meet reality, I guess. So current situation is that the festivals we were booked for 2020 and which have been postponed to 21 are now postponed to 22. And yeah, as I said before, we decided to publish the album as an album and not in relation to an already announced tour. And if I had to take a guess, I think most probably it will happen that the first live appearances with Canto will be on festivals next summer. And everything that has to be planned in more detail, like a complete tour or anything, would follow after that. I don't want to make too many plans that have to be cancelled or postponed or replanned on a weekly basis. That's not what I like.
I'm already watching my inbox, and the first festival announcements already dribble in, and the first cautious show announcements. So
yeah, I think for late summer there's some chance for live appearance, but still most of these festivals would then use the lineup that they announced for last year. So I do not expect any spontaneous appearance on. Oh, we just need another headliner. Canto, can you come? I mean, it would be great, but I don't expect that.
To all the promoters out there, book these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about all the questions I have right now. Is there anything you would like to talk about?
Oh yeah, basically it's always fascinating, for not only for me but for all of the band members doing interviews, that there's interest in the band, of course, and this is also something that still feels very fresh after 15 years. If you create new music and you present it to the world, and then you get reactions from people really waiting for it or listening to it or doing interviews on a professional level. I mean, all this is great response, and especially in times where you do not have personal interaction, this really helps a lot to keep faith in music and in metal especially. So this is my takeaway from such a great interview, that it's great to have somebody who's interested in what we're doing. Thank you for that.
It's always nice to talk to you, man. And I'm sure that when your next album comes around, I'll drop you a line again.
Yeah, and then we will again sit next to a refrigerator instead of having Zoom calls.
Exactly, or somewhere backstage.
Yeah, exactly.
All
cool.
Right. Thanks for your time, and enjoy your evening.
Same for you. Thanks. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.